Sorry if I look a hot mess. I'm a little tired. Had my first day of my new job today, and I'm kind of not yet used to being on a schedule and then being up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. So I'm kind of, but I did want to at least put something out. So I'm going to do a couple tag videos. And yeah, so the first tag I'm going to do is I'm going to do the curiosity tag. And question one is, how long have you stitched for? Like I mentioned in my intro video, I've been stitching for about 13 years. Since I was about 12 to 13 years, since I was about 16 or 17. So, yeah. Number two, do you prefer framing your projects or making them into cushions, wall hangings, etc.? Seeing as I don't really do much of anything with my finished objects, I don't FFO them except for my nephew's birth announcement, and that one I did frame. I really don't have an answer for that. I don't really have a preference there yet. Number three, who is your favorite designer? I actually, looking back at all my patterns that I have, I would actually have to say that would be Loretta Oliver of Stitching the Night Away. I have so many of her patterns between what I've gotten from her site and what I've gotten from Cyber Stitchers, so that's who I would have to say. Number four, what is the most you have paid for a design, fabric, and floss? Seeing as most of my stuff I've stitched has been either things I've stitched myself, or I'm sorry, not stitched myself, patterned myself, charted myself, or they've been free charts, really only about maybe $15–20, but that is quickly going to change because I have decided to jump on the Raven Queen bandwagon. I'm going to get her up next month. I'm going to get her up next month, and I'm going to get Save the Stitches up this month. So I'm jumping on that bandwagon too. So that total's probably going to change. The answer's probably going to change here in the next month or two. Number five, how many hours have you stitched on for just one project in one day? I only stitch for about a couple hours a day. I think I may have done more on that first finish that I showed you from 2009, because I was probably getting towards the wire and I wasn't done yet, and I was rushing to finish it. So that one might have been like 3 or 4 hours, something like that. Number six, have you got any FFOs where you have a major mistake in them but you wouldn't notice? They're not FFOs, but they do have some FOs where there's stuff that you couldn't tell. Mostly I have a tendency to like skip a hole when I'm going back, so I'm sure I've got some projects that have that error in them, but when you're looking at it from a distance, you won't be able to tell. Number seven, what is your favorite project that you have finished and are most proud of? By far. By far. I mean, I FFO'd this, and I don't FFO anything, so it would have to be this. This is my coup de grace. Number eight, if you've lost your stitchy bug, what makes it come back? Lately, it's been Flosstube, that's for sure. But just getting this, for me, it's normally just getting a wild hair up my butt and being like, I want to do something creative. I want to stitch. I'm gonna stitch that. That's how I got my about 4 or 5 years ago, that's how I got my tissue bug back then. That first piece, the little anime character, I had decided in the beginning of 2009 that I was going to join this exchange and I was going to stitch something for it, even though I hadn't stitched since I moved out of my mother's house. And that was 2006, so. But lately it's been Flosstube. Number 9. Do you have to make sure you finish a project, or can you just leave them for months at a time and do new starts? Try leaving them for years at a time and doing new starts. So, no, I do not have to make sure I finish a project. I can leave. I have UFOs from 2009, 2010. And number 10, what is your most hated type of stitch? French knots. French knots. I hate French knots. I can't stand them. No. French knots. With backstitching a close second. But I'm starting to appreciate backstitching, so French knots. That was the curiosity tag. That didn't take as much time as I planned. I might be able to get a couple more tags in. So next I'm going to go ahead and go do with the normal tag. Here we go. So number 1. What is the strangest place you have ever stitched? I think I'd have to say that would be outside of a convenience store, waiting while my mom ran in and got a few things. And she's like, just stay in the car. I'll be right back. So while I was waiting for her, I think I'd just come from my aunt's house. So we brought my stitching to work on while I was over there. And I just sat in the car and stitched while I was waiting for her, just in the parking lot. Number 2, what is your next favorite hobby? That would have to be my nail polish obsession. I think I own more nail polishes than I do stitchy stuff. Combined. Floss, fabric. Well, maybe not patterns, but yeah, nail polish. Number 3, to smoke or not to smoke? Absolutely not. No. But my mother's a smoker, so I'm currently in a house where they're smoking. But that's okay. But in my house, no, absolutely not. Number 4, what is your favorite social media to share your stitching on? Does DeviantArt count? Because it would definitely be DeviantArt if it did. Facebook being kind of up there, maybe number 2, followed, or no, maybe my blog, followed by followed by Reddit, followed by my Facebook, followed by here. Number 5, do you model stitch or have you ever? Well, as I mentioned in my previous video, and there is a link to this in the description box of that video, I do have a model piece up on Cyberstitchers for one of their free patterns. So technically, yes, I didn't stitch it to be a model for the site. I stitched it for something completely different, and it just ended up being the model piece for that pattern. But yeah. Number 6, wash or no wash? I have yet to wash a piece, but I would like to, especially since everything I've stitched on has been on Ada with DMC floss, so everything's color fast. I don't have to worry about anything running. So I would like to start washing my pieces. Number 7, if you use a digital program, what do you use? Honestly, I just use Adobe Reader. I've heard good things about Foxit and Goodreader, but when I think of must view a PDF, I think of Adobe Reader. I just use Adobe Reader. And number 8, what do you do with your finished projects? Well, seeing as they're sitting in a drawer in my dresser right now, that's what I do with them. So, yeah. I think I got time for one more before my phone freaks out and says I used too much space. So let's see. I'll go ahead and do a short one. I'll do the Coffeestitcher tag. It's like 3 questions. Number 1, which is one designer that you didn't initially have any interest in until you actually did one? Again, I would have to say Loretta Oliver of Stitching the Night Away. I didn't really have a vested interest in her stuff, mostly because I didn't realize that some of the stuff that I had gotten previously was by her. But when she posted her same-sex marriage support piece in Facebook, then I was all about her stuff. Number 2, what is one designer that you just cannot get in the groove on? I honestly don't know. When I first was looking at this tag, I was gonna say Mirabilia because I'm like going. It was just overwhelming. The concept of mirrors were overwhelming me, but Raven Queen hype. I've jumped on the Raven Queen hype, so I really can't say anybody anymore. And number 3, what is one chart that you would love to see made, and who would you like to see design it? This one I know exactly what I want. I want a pattern of the Backstreet Boys done by Clouds Factory. I want them in the little, almost like Weeble Wobble kind of Clouds Factory I want the Backstreet Boys done by Clouds Factory. Full stop. I swear I feel like I could do another tag. I think I'll try one more. Okay. I'm gonna do this one. I'm gonna do the Teresa tag because it's shorter. Tag Central. Number 1, do seasons affect your stitching pattern? Meaning, do you stitch less in the summer? Kind of. No, not really. No. And I'll answer number 2 and number 3 because they go together and they have the same answer for both of them. Number 2 is, do you prefer stitching with lap stand, on a floor stand, or in hand? I stitch in hand. I've only ever stitched in hand. I've never used a hoop. I've never used a snap. I've never had a piece big enough to where I needed to warrant a hoop or a Q-snap or a stand. So number 3, do you prefer stitching with a hoop, Q-snap, frame, or in hand? The answers to both of those is in hand. Number 4, do you use a stitching light or no additional lighting? I really don't use any. My mom does have a floor lamp that we've been kind of sharing. That's hers, and so it's only in use when I'm stitching with her. But when I'm in my room, I just have my regular lamp. Number 5, do you use a magnifier? Don't really need one. Not yet, anyway. So no. Do you stitch one-handed, two-handed, or both? Since I stitch everything in hand, I'm obviously one-handed. Number 7, do you prefer to stitch alone in a quiet place or around the family and in a living area? I do both. Like I said, my mom is also a stitcher. She's the one that taught me to stitch, and I'm living with her now. So we stitch together quite a bit. My sisters come over, who my mom also taught to stitch, and she stitched with us. And I also like to stitch by myself with Flosstube going, music going, or whatever. So a little of both. Number 8, what is your preferred fabric and preferred count of that fabric? 18 count 8 so far. Though I am working a piece on 22 count Hardinger right now, and I'm really liking it. Still 2/1. I haven't moved on into anything that would be over 2 yet, but I'm thinking about going to 28 count linen for Raven Queen. So we'll see how I like it. Number 9. In your time stitching, have you ever lost your stitchy bug? And if so, how many times have you lost it and how did you get it back? I've lost my stitchy bug twice for a period of years in the time since I've started stitching. The first time, like I mentioned, I got in on that gift exchange, that art exchange, and really wanted to stitch something for it. And then this last time, I got my stitchy bug back by seeing that chart by Loretta Oliver. So, and being like, I have to stitch it. I have to have it in my life. Number 10. Do you travel and stitch? Would you do stitch on public transport, or is it a home hobby only? I definitely travel and stitch. Like I said, I've stitched in a convenience store parking lot for Pete's sake. But I have never stitched on public transport. And I used to ride public transport all the time. It was my main mode of transportation. Haven't done it yet, though I do plan to stitch on a plane sometime next year, assuming I still have my stitchy book. I'm hoping it doesn't go away. So definitely not a home hobby only. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and stop here because I don't want to have this be a freaking mess of tags. I want to save some tags for other videos. And I also, so I'm going to probably do, I have about 3 more tags to do. I still have to do this, but I have a question for the stitching style tag, the stash enhancement tag, and the joy of stitching tag. So I'm going to go ahead and probably do those, maybe one of these upcoming videos. I'm going to sit down and do those. And of course, I also have a whip update. I'm going to have 2 new starts since I last did since my first video. So I'm up to 7 whips. I have enough to work. I could start a weekly rotation now if I really wanted to. Because I've got enough whips for it. So got those coming up. And yeah, that should do it for me. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.